We begin with the latest on the Israel-Gaza war, and dozens of people have been killed in the latest Israeli strikes on Gaza as a major new offensive begins. The Indonesian hospital in the north of the territory says at least 58 people have been killed today. Officials in Gaza say that around 250 people have been killed since Thursday. Well, Israel says its latest intensification of military action is aimed at defeating Hamas and securing the release of the remaining hostages being held in Gaza. Well, let's take you to the live pictures looking across the border from Israel into northern Gaza. Well, all of these developments come as the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has been speaking, calling for a permanent and immediate ceasefire. He's also called on Israel to lift its blockade on humanitarian aid, which a UN-backed assessment says has left millions of Palestinians at critical risk of famine. In the last few hours as well, rescue workers in Gaza say at least 10 people have been killed by Israeli strikes, 7 in the southern city of Khan Yunis and 3 more in Jabalia in the north. Well, this is the worst violence in the Gaza Strip since Israel resumed its offensive in March. In the last hour, a media advisor to Hamas has told the BBC that a new round of negotiations has officially begun in Doha. Our correspondent Wira Davis is in Jerusalem with the latest.
Yeah, this is an ominous moment. The Israeli military has already now announced the start of Operation Gideon's Chariots. And if the full force of what the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has promised is unleashed, then we can expect in coming days and weeks thousands of Israeli troops on the ground in Gaza, occupying for a long time positions in the Palestinian territory and pushing the civilian population southwards. And we've had a portent of things to come in recent days and today, with increasingly intensive Israeli military airstrikes and incursions from sea, land and air against positions particularly in northern and central Gaza, but as you were saying, against positions in the south as well. And this is all part of what Israel says an attempt to finally defeat and destroy Hamas. Now, as you were also intimating there are very faint hopes that a breakthrough may be achieved with ceasefire talks in Doha, but thus far they haven't borne any fruit. So all the while the Israeli military operation ramps up with the beginning of this operation, which they had been threatening for some time.
That's Wira Davis in Jerusalem there for us. Well, we can now speak to our Gaza correspondent Rushdie Abu-Alouf, who is currently in Cairo. Always good to talk to you, Rushdie. You've been speaking to a Hamas spokesperson about the ongoing talks to try and secure a ceasefire. Just tell us about that conversation.
Yeah, we understand that the new session for ceasefire talks has begun about half an hour ago, 4:30 Doha time. Before this round of talks, there was a meeting between the Qatari Prime Minister and the Hamas Council of Leadership. The 5 big names in Hamas have met the Qataris for about an hour before the meeting. We understand that also the U.S. envoy Witkoff talked to the Qataris as well about resuming the talks. Well, Hamas official told the BBC that there is no precondition for this negotiation, and Hamas is still insisting in ending the war and withdrawing Israeli troops from Gaza before they went to start this talks, which, you know, that was always the obstacle, because on the other side the Israelis want a ceasefire based in what is well known now as Witkoff proposal, which talk about releasing 10 Israeli hostages from Gaza and for the 45 days of ceasefire only.
And Rushdie, we know that right now, actually, Antonio Guterres is taking questions from journalists. He's in Baghdad at a meeting of Arab leaders. We know that Arab leaders are urging more pressure to stop the bloodshed in Gaza. What is the regional perspective on this? Of course, we saw President Trump, who was in the region. He was in the United Arab Emirates. He was in Doha as well. What is the regional perspective on the pressure that needs to be put on both parties in this?
You know, we have seen a very big diplomacy from Egyptian here, from the Qataris, and from even the Turkish authority, and too many, diplomacy was involved before Trump arrived into the area. And this little window of hope was faded away very quickly when Trump departure Doha without announcing any ceasefire or anything. And from Hamas, they said we have, released the Israeli-American soldier ahead of the Trump visit to open the gate for a new talks. The level of frustration in Gaza was very high this morning, but suddenly people started to hope that maybe these talks in Doha now can bring about something that stop the killing in Gaza. You know, over 300 people, the latest number from the Hamas-run health ministry is talking about 300 people within 48 hours were killed in Gaza. And the airstrikes is everywhere. Well, the focus of the Israeli operation is in the north. But for example, like half an hour ago, they hit two places in the middle in Deir al-Balah, killing about 9 people. So all eyes in Gaza are now focused in this meeting in Doha and hope that this will find a solution. When we talk to people about the Arab Summit, everybody was surprised. People, they don't know about it. They don't care about the Arab Summit anymore, and they believe that only the negotiation in Qatar with the pressure from the American could solve their problem.
Yeah, that's really interesting perspective there. Thank you, as always, to our Gaza correspondent, Rushdie Abu Alif.